According to Herman Melville in Chapter 82 of his epic novel Moby Dick, there are some enterprises in which a careful disorderliness is the true method. Whaling is one of them. Making a film about a traveling theater production that deals directly with opiate addiction in the commercial fishing community is another. How do you confront a disease as destructive and insidious as addiction? How do you kill a whale as malevolent and murderous as Moby Dick? If you're a playwright and director of a theater company from an island 15 miles off the coast of Maine who has suffered the fatal loss of his brother to the great white oblivion of opiate addiction, you write a play about the devastating experience, then proceed in the same manner as that famous captain of a whale ship in ancient New Bedford who lost his leg to the great white whale. You assemble the most capable, courageous crew possible, commandeer a good sharp harpoon, and set sail on a boat to hunt the evil animal down. In September of 2003, in celebration of National Recovery Month, the 40-Hour Club made an epic journey into the heart of addiction in Maine. Through the unique partnership of the arts and recovery communities, the 40-Hour Club sought to demonstrate in dramatic fashion that addiction is a disease and that recovery is possible. By giving voice to recovery through the production of Michael's play Ultralight, and putting a face on recovery through Bridget's portrait series The Faces of Recovery, in 3 main cities, the club embraced the new recovery model of the hero's journey. In particular, they embraced the last leg of the hero's journey, his return home and the sharing of his story. What the production of Ultralight and Faces of Recovery succeeded in doing through its deeply touching and dramatic sharing of story was open the doors of perception in the community. It managed to separate the addict from the disease to demonstrate that addicts are not some evil phenomenon separate from ourselves. As Barbara Royal, director of the Open Door Recovery Center in Ellsworth, so clearly stated in a letter to the editor in the Ellsworth American, they are our children, our students, our neighbors, our friends and colleagues. And until we, as a community, rise up and deal with this problem, it will claim more lives and ruin many others. Perhaps the greatest accomplishment of the production was its revelation of the desperate need for more education and treatment, rather than the punishment favored by the proponents of the war on drugs. As the great Maine novelist Carolyn Chute writes in her book Snowman, education. It keeps coming back to that. Education. Where are the true sages? Where is the knowledge passed on for its own sake? Lessons in parables and how to wield a necessary, life-sustaining tool. The knowledge of a tribe, a nation, a people, an equal people. Education shared, passed round the circle. At its best, theater is that circle. It is not enough to be merely entertained, to have our heartstrings plucked by the victims of tragedy. We can also learn how to prevent such tragedy from occurring in the future. And so a group of true sages took the stage to fashion a necessary, life-sustaining tool. They saw the value in the addict's story. They recognized the daunting obstacles in his path, the incredible challenges he faced in recovery, and the ultimate need for him to complete the last leg of his journey. They welcomed him home, and by opening the door, they turned a curse into a blessing.
We fish because trout is wildness that's attained. It's wildness that you can see, that you can feel, that you can hold in your hands. To battle a trout on the end of a line puts you in touch with what it means to be wild, ferocious, untamable, unwilling to give up, unwilling to die. But the trout doesn't start to fight with all its might right off the bat. The lure in its mouth must feel like something strange, something odd, something beyond instinct even. First it tries to shake the hook free. Maybe it jumps. But the hook still remains. The weight against its jaw persists. It darts for its familiar cover, which shields it from its familiar predators. But the hook and the weight won't go away. And then, slowly, it's drawn out of its shelter and into the open. It gives in a little, out of complete bewilderment, perhaps even curiosity. It feels itself being drawn upstream. It makes a sudden attempt to dive for cover, and then another still the force persists. Gradually, it realizes it's being drawn towards something. That it's being drawn towards an animal of incredible power, incredible strength, with a tiny claw and invisible arm. It darts behind a rock. Then a log. It keeps on hiding until it's exhausted all its familiar channels of escape. Do you understand? Until it is exhausted all its familiar channels of escape. Then it begins to fight. To really fight. Not to flee, not to hide, but to fight. It explodes down the street and comes and burns from side to side, trying to break free, but it can't, no matter how hard it tries. Still, it feels itself being drawn towards the jaws of a predator that it cannot see. It feels its strength being drawn out of its body by a force it cannot conceive, slowly but surely drawn to its death. Now every moment becomes a decision. A decision to live or die. A decision to continue to struggle or to give up. To live or to die. Still it is drawn towards death. Life or death. Every moment a decision. Every moment a step closer. And still the fish chooses life over death. Life! Each moment more exhausted. Each moment a step closer. And still the fish chooses life! Closer. And still the fish chooses life. Closer. And still closer. Life. Closer. Life. Closer. Life. Until it lies exhausted at your feet, unable to fight. And you pick it up gently to release the hook. And you release it. You don't let it squirm free or flip out of your hands. You release it. Because you like to think that the fish is a person, and that it can understand what you've done. That the fish is aware that it has life because of you, and you are aware that you have life because of it. But you need an ultralight rod to put you in touch with that true action, to penetrate the trout's environment, to hike far, far into the woods, to creep along a stream bank, to kneel behind a tree, beside a pool, to flip your line out, to feel the line run through your fingers smoothly, to feel the current tugging steadily, to feel the strike sharply, and to set the hook ruthlessly. I got one!
Keep your tip up. Keep fighting him and keep reeling him in. Hey, that's it. Don't give him any slack.
Oh, I got him!
You got him.
Steven, I got him! Oh, wait till we show Dad. He's not gonna believe it. He's not gonna believe that I did it all by myself, but you'll tell him, right? You'll tell him that I did the rest myself, but you helped?
Yeah, I tell him.
Oh, it's a nice one, isn't it, Steven?
It's a beauty, Jimmy. You did great. Now, come on. Let's go show Dad.
I thought the analogy of the getting hooked and fighting and giving up and fighting, I just thought that was brilliant.
It really touched me because it was so much of my life. You know, it was so much of my life as an alcoholic and an addict, you know, that it just told my story.
When Jimmy said, we're going to stay an extra day, you know, that was my first thought was, oh my God, he's going to run out of dope, because I've been there.
That's the scene where Steven's on his knees in just complete desperation, you know, and like, I can remember saying almost the exact same things to my own brother.
Well, kind of always wanted to come to something like this, but this really caught my interest. And then when I read the article in the Sunday paper, I was going to be here.
You know, the whole thing, the crying, the shame, the sorrow, you know? You don't want to be like you are. You don't want to be what you are. But you don't know any other way out.
John paused, almost imperceptibly. His mind was in Colorado.
Whenever I start thinking clearly, really clearly, I think of Colorado.
As he spoke, a mountain range, a tree line, a winding road, and other images of Colorado became vivid before his eyes. John's description of Colorado had elevated Tom's spirits, and moments ago begun to inspire a collage of spontaneous images and thoughts. Before and within Tom, like a wonderful kaleidoscope of constantly changing focus, a picture began to evolve, at the center of which remained John's description. But it was the ocean, spanning full and swelling before his view. Tom sat motionless and looked out upon the ocean in his mind. He pondered its great contrasts of air and water, stillness and motion, as he watched the ships and boats leave and return to the shore. He followed one boat, the working trawler named the Northern Star, over the horizon and watched it disappear. He imagined himself on the deck of that boat, a commercial fisherman, a highliner, as he had done 1,000 times before. The steady metallic hum of the propellers, the rhythmic ascent and descent of the boat upon the waves. And then he was no longer aware of the rhythms and motions of the sea, nor the mechanical workings of the trawl. Only the distant shore, vaguely discernible upon the increasingly distant horizon, remained real and perceptible. What was at first an incredibly irregular and intricate line had straightened and softened until now it was only a blur of earth and color, contrasted against the emerald sea and deep blue sky. And then finally, it wasn't even that. A strange feeling of deep peacefulness had overcome and settled upon Tom. And paradoxically, he began to feel an excited and ancient urgency, as if one feeling had generated the other. He recalled and focused upon John's earlier perception of clarity and simplicity, and his anxiety heightened. Without thought or preparation, he felt his voice rising inside him. Tom listened to and seemed to watch his words, one by one, as they flew from him together and posed the question.
You know,
Tom said, and he watched his words as if they were a flock of gulls, which might linger above the wake of the boat forever.
if Colorado had an ocean,